Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuyo, regular contributor for Buddhistdoor Global, and the title of today's talk is Flipping Over the Rice Bowl. But before we get into that, I'll remind you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. One day, 3 monks were sitting in the meditation hall, eating their evening meal. At a certain point, their teacher walked in and began asking them questions. He turned to the first monk and asked, "Why are you eating rice?" The monk replied, "I'm eating rice for the good of all sentient beings." The teacher nodded and said, "This is a good answer, but it's not quite correct." Next, he turned to the second student and said, "Why are you eating rice?" The monk replied, "I'm eating rice to nourish my body so I can practice the Dharma." Once again, the teacher nodded and said, "This is a good answer, but it's not quite correct." Finally, he turned to the third student, and before he could even ask his question, the student flipped over his rice bowl and walked out of the meditation hall. The teacher sat there for a moment, and then he bowed. In Buddhism, we have a very intricate philosophy that we work from. There are very advanced cosmologies that we can learn, teachings about this life and the afterlife, koans that ask questions like, why did Bodhidharma come from the West? And these are good and important things, and we learn a lot from studying them and discussing them with our teachers and our fellow students. However, there is a risk that we can make the practice more complicated than it needs to be. At a certain point, we practice Buddhism simply to practice Buddhism. At a certain point, we meditate simply to meditate. And at a certain point, we eat our rice simply because we want to eat the rice. When the third student flipped over his rice bowl, he was saying, "I don't have time for questions. I have work to do." Amitabha.